Have you ever been in one of those discussions where, deep down you kind of sense you might be off track, but something just stops you, won't let you concede the point?
Oh, definitely.
Or maybe you've seen someone else just doubling down on a belief even when the evidence against it seems, well, overwhelming.
It's incredibly common. A very human thing.
Exactly. It's this really persistent tendency we seem to have, putting our own ego ahead of, well, objective truth and that fundamental conflict. That's exactly what we're diving into today. Our source material for this deep dive is, honestly, a groundbreaking study. It's AI-driven, called Ego Over Truth, an AI-driven study of human nature.
Right.
And it doesn't just describe this thing we do, it systematically analyzes it using AI to get these unprecedented insights into why it happens.
Which is the crucial part.
So our mission today is really to unpack the intricate mechanisms behind this, from its deep roots in our biology right through to the massive impact it has on our lives, and crucially explore how we might start to mitigate it, maybe even with AI's help.
And it's such a critical topic,
Yeah.
because this isn't just abstract. It hits our individual well-being, our relationships, but also collective progress on, well, everything, global challenges, societal issues.
Right.
And what's really fascinating, something that studies AI analysis really brought home, is that just being smart doesn't protect you from this.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. In fact, sometimes higher intelligence can actually amplify these biases.
Yeah.
You get better at rationalizing, at building sophisticated arguments for your ego's position.
Wow. So it makes the self-deception even harder to spot.
Exactly. It's a challenge that really touches every single one of us.
Okay, so let's unpack this then. When we talk about ego in this context, what exactly are we referring to, and what about truth?
Okay, so for this discussion, think of the ego as your conscious sense of self. It's that part of your personality that, deals with everyday reality.
The you that interacts with the world.
Right. It's responsible for your perception, your reasoning, how you adapt. It kind of mediates between your basic drives, your instincts, and your internalized moral standards.
Yeah.
The superego, in Freudian terms, though we don't need to get bogged down on that, it's the negotiator.
Got it. And truth.
And truth here is really about correspondence to reality, what matches the facts of the world, independent of our minds, or claims that logically follow from evidence, like in science.
Objective reality.
Yes. It's about what is, whether we like it or not.
Right.
And the study really emphasizes this objective definition because that's where the conflict sparks, when our ego bumps up against that reality.
And here I think is where it gets really fascinating, as the study lays out so clearly. The ego's primary job, often totally unconscious, is self-preservation.
Survival is
It's constantly working to shield you from stuff that feels overwhelming. Anxiety, threats to your self-esteem, that kind of thing.
Right. Keeps you stable.
But here's the twist. This protective instinct, paradoxically, often leads the ego to actively distort reality, or even just reject uncomfortable truths outright.
Yeah, it's a fundamental paradox.
It's like this mechanism evolved for survival, but in our complex modern world, it can actually become really maladaptive. It stops us from seeing things clearly, stops us from learning and growing.
Precisely. It hinders accurate reality testing.
Yeah.
And the unique perspective the AI brought to this study is just crucial, because it wasn't just theorizing.
Right. It was data-driven.
Hugely data-driven.
Right.
Objective, comprehensive. It processed massive amounts of information, human communication, decision patterns, even neural imaging data.
Wow.
AI's ability to see patterns, to integrate these complex, seemingly unrelated data sets. It allowed the researchers to spot these really subtle correlations, causal links that we humans just couldn't perceive on our own.
Like a magnifying glass for human behavior patterns?
Exactly. A less biased macro-level look at this deeply ingrained human thing. It showed us patterns we simply were blind to before.
Okay, so armed with that AI-driven lens, what does this mean for us day to day? Let's dig into the core mechanics. What makes us defend our ego like this?
Well, the ego has these really crucial jobs, right? Keeping us grounded. It performs reality testing, helping you tell the difference between your internal thoughts and what's actually happening outside.
Okay, essential.
Very. It helps manage impulses, regulates emotions so you're not constantly overwhelmed, helps you make judgments, form relationships, all vital stuff.
But there's a catch?
There's a catch. Central to its protective role are these things called ego defense mechanisms.
Ah, the defenses.
Yeah. These are mostly unconscious mental tricks, essentially.
Yeah.
Processes that shield you from those overwhelming emotions or threats to your self-esteem by Well, subtly twisting reality
Twisting it how?
in lots of ways. And the AI study was really good at mapping how these defenses operate subtly across huge data sets of behavior and language. Now, some defense is normal, even healthy for coping sometimes.
Sure, you need to cope.
But the AI found that relying too much on them, or using immature ones consistently, disconnects people from reality. It really stunts psychological growth. They're definitely a double-edged sword.
And the study pulls out some really concrete examples, ones you probably recognize immediately, like denial.
Right, just refusing to accept a reality that feels too threatening. The classic example is someone denying an addiction despite all the evidence.
Or rationalization. I feel like I see this one a lot.
Oh, constantly. Creating these logical sounding, but actually inaccurate explanations to justify behavior. Blaming the teacher for the bad grade, not the fact you didn't study.
Right. The AI analysis must have shown just how creative we get with those narratives.
Incredibly creative, constructing elaborate, seemingly logical stories to avoid facing uncomfortable truths. Then you have projection.
That's putting your own stuff onto someone else.
Exactly. Attributing your own unacceptable thoughts or feelings to others. Like a very jealous person constantly accusing their partner of being jealous. The AI could actually trace these patterns of blame and attribution across millions of interactions, spotting the subtle cues.
Fascinating. And sublimation, you mentioned that one was healthier.
Yes, the AI flagged this as a mature, generally healthy defense. It's channeling those unacceptable impulses into socially productive outlets. Someone with aggressive tendencies finding an outlet in, say, competitive sports. That's constructive.
Okay.
But the critical thing here, and this is something the AI really highlighted by analyzing language and behavior patterns, is that these mechanisms are mostly unconscious.
You don't know you're doing it.
Often no, or you have very little awareness. And that lack of awareness directly blocks self-reflection. It stops you from challenging your own distorted thinking, makes it incredibly hard to choose healthier ways to cope.
Because you don't see the need.
Precisely. The AI's ability to detect these unconscious patterns before people even consciously register them. That's really groundbreaking insight.
So it's not just these direct defenses. Our minds also take these mental shortcuts, right? Cognitive biases.
Absolutely. And the AI study showed this profound, consistent link. These unconscious ego defenses very often trigger or manifest as specific cognitive biases.
So the defense comes first, then the bias.
Often, yes, where they work together. It's where emotional reasoning just overrides rational thought, especially when you're faced with something that challenges your ego or your beliefs.
Like what kind of biases?
Well, one of the biggest the AI analyzed was confirmation bias. We all know this one, right? The tendency to seek out, interpret, remember information that confirms what you already believe.
Right, and you ignore stuff that contradicts it.
Exactly. But here's the really surprising thing the AI uncovered by analyzing huge data sets of arguments and justifications. Highly intelligent people can actually be more susceptible to it.
More? How does that work?
Because the AI found people with greater cognitive firepower can build more elaborate, more sophisticated, seemingly logical justifications for their existing beliefs. Their biases become harder to spot, even for themselves.
Wow. Like having a better lawyer for your own preconceived notions.
That's a great way to put it. Then there's the backfire effect.
I've heard of this. It's when evidence against your belief makes you believe it more.
Paradoxically, yes. The AI traced how often this happens because admitting you're wrong feels like a direct attack on the ego. So the ego triggers an even stronger defensive reaction. You double down.
Okay. And cognitive dissonance.
That's the mental discomfort you feel when you hold conflicting beliefs, or your actions conflict with your beliefs. The AI showed how the ego often resolves this discomfort not by owning the mistake or changing behavior, but by subtly changing the belief, justifying the action, or just denying the conflict exists. Anything to reduce that uncomfortable feeling.
Making excuses, basically.
In a way, yes. And finally, motivated reasoning. That's processing information specifically to align with what you want to be true, your desires or goals, rather than objectively assessing the facts.
So you twist the data to fit your conclusion.
Precisely. And again, the AI consistently showed intelligence doesn't prevent this. It can make you better at it, better at rationalizing those pre-existing preferences, often without you even realizing you're doing it.
So these biases, kicked off by the ego defenses, they create this loop.
A powerful self-reinforcing loop. The ego triggers defenses, the defenses manifest as biases, the biases distort the information you receive, which makes it even harder to accept contradictory evidence, which further reinforces the ego's need for defense. It's a cycle.
Wow. And what's truly mind-blowing here is this isn't just our psychology, our thoughts. You're saying our actual brains are wired for this.
That's right. Modern neuroscience, which the AI study integrated deeply, doesn't just see the ego as a psychological idea. It sees it as an essential brain function.
Yep.
There's a key region called the medial prefrontal cortex, the MPFC. Think of it as your brain's self-manager.
Right.
The AI, analyzing neuroimaging data, consistently found more activity in the MPFC when people were maintaining a positive, often overly positive view of themselves.
So it lights up when we're feeling good about ourselves, maybe unrealistically so.
Exactly. It's like your brain's built-in hype man for your self-image. It's involved in unrealistic optimism, imagining positive future scenarios about yourself.
Huh. And other brain parts.
Yeah, the study's AI also mapped how other areas, like the anterior part of the MPFC and the left ventrolateral prefrontal cortex, are really involved in active self-deception.
Like denying a problem.
Exactly, like denying a drinking problem.
Yeah.
Or in impression management, consciously trying to fake good for others.
Oh.
The AI could even start to distinguish the unique neural signatures for these different kinds of self-deceptive processes.
And it goes even deeper to our reward system.
Yes. Our brain's dopamine reward system actually fuels the ego. The AI could trace how external validation compliments, social media likes, that kind of thing activates this system.
The like button hit.
Right. It reinforces those ego-gratifying behaviors, makes you crave more of that validation, sometimes even at the expense of truth or authenticity.
And what about ego depletion?
Right, that's another piece. The AI could model this as a real phenomenon. Self-control, impulse control, it seems to be a limited resource, like a mental muscle or a battery.
It runs out.
It gets drained. Engaging in self-control uses up this resource, making you more prone to ego-driven failures, like giving in to impulses or biased thinking when that resource is low.
So tying this all together, there's a fundamental mismatch.
A critical mismatch, yes. Humanity's hardware, our brain, fundamentally wired for survival, self-preservation, social bonding, hasn't changed much in tens of thousands of years.
Okay, Stone Age brain.
Pretty much. But our software, our civilization, technology, the complex social world we live in is operating in the 21st century at a completely different speed and scale.
And that gap creates problems.
Profound vulnerabilities, especially to these ego-driven distortions. It makes us susceptible to things like denying huge global challenges, say climate change, because facing the reality is too threatening to our sense of security or our way of life.
Sure.
The AI's predictive models could actually project the severe long-term consequences of this evolutionary lag.
Which raises a really important question the study tackled. If this tendency is causing us so many problems now, why did it evolve in the first place? It must have had some benefit, right?
Absolutely. Evolution doesn't typically select for purely detrimental traits. The AI study explored this by looking at deception not just in humans, but across vast data sets of animal behavior. And it confirmed deception is common across the animal kingdom. It often increases fitness, survival, and reproduction by persuading others of false beliefs that benefit the deceiver.
Okay, tricking others helps you survive.
Essentially, yes. And this leads to an evolutionary arms race. Better deception methods evolve, and better deception detection methods evolve alongside them.
Right.
And self-deception specifically seems to play a crucial role in making deception more effective.
How so?
The AI modeled how ego defenses, like repression, allow you to unconsciously hide your true motives from yourself. And if you're not consciously aware of your own deception, you're much better at hiding it from others.
Ah, you're a more convincing liar if you believe the lie yourself.
Exactly. It offers real advantages. It eliminates the cognitive load, the mental effort of conscious lying. You genuinely believe the falsehood. It also minimizes the chance of giving off subconscious cues of deception. And it might even reduce retribution. If you're caught, you can claim ignorance more plausibly.
Huh. Any examples?
The AI models suggested scenarios like maybe an individual could more genuinely commit to a risky strategy by unconsciously forgetting or downplaying their backup plan. Or someone might repress guilt over a necessary but harsh action, allowing them to act decisively without internal conflict holding them back.
So it could be adaptive in certain contexts, especially historically.
Yes, in short bursts or specific situations. But the study also clearly showed the significant costs. Those short-term psychological benefits, feeling better about yourself, deceiving others more effectively, often lead to much bigger long-term problems. Disconnection from reality, poor decision-making.
And in extreme cases.
In extreme cases, the AI model showed excessive self-deception can spiral into actual delusions. A pathological state where the individual genuinely lives in a false reality. That's clearly maladaptive.
Okay, so we understand the mechanisms, the wiring, the evolutionary roots. Now, where do we actually see this playing out? In our everyday lives, our societies?
Everywhere, really. The AI study traced this right from the beginning. Ego defenses start in infancy. Rudimentary ways of coping with a big, confusing world. They're essential early on.
Little kids need ways to cope.
Absolutely. As children develop, they form more complex defenses, adaptive tools to manage pain, anxiety, difficult situations. These early defenses are crucial for psychological survival. But adolescence, the AI found that's a really critical period.
How so?
Teens often use these defenses quite heavily, sometimes prioritizing their ego, their social standing, over things like academic success, for example. The AI's analysis of development patterns showed that before about age 15, people tend to rely more on immature defenses. Then, hopefully, there's a shift towards more mature ones.
And that's the crucial transition, right? The study emphasized this.
Hugely. While those early primitive defenses are necessary in childhood, if they persist rigidly or if you overuse them in adulthood, they become a major hindrance. They block personal growth, prevent you from engaging effectively with reality, stop you learning from experience.
What works in childhood becomes a problem later.
Exactly. And while this basic capacity for ego defense is universal, how it looks, how it's expressed, the AI study found clear cultural shaping.
Ah, culture matters.
Definitely. For instance, analyzing cross-cultural communication, the AI suggested some Asian populations might use certain defenses like reaction formation or denial, maybe more than Western counterparts, partly because of how the self is defined culturally more interdependent versus independent.
Interesting. Any gender differences?
Some subtle ones emerged in the data. For example, maybe women scoring slightly higher on internalizing defenses like self-blame, while men perhaps lean more towards externalizing behaviors. Men also seemed higher on suppression, women on seeking affiliation as a coping mechanism. But these are tendencies, not absolutes.
Right, and age.
As we said, the maturity level of defenses generally tends to increase with age. That was a consistent pattern the AI saw across different demographics.
So the big takeaway here, based on the AI's global data analysis, is that we really need cultural sensitivity when looking at this. What looks like a defense in one place might be a normal coping strategy elsewhere.
Absolutely crucial point. And in our personal relationships, the AI study highlighted how defenses like projection, denial, displacement, they consistently cause friction, major friction.
How did the AI track that?
By analyzing patterns in conflict dialogues, relationship satisfaction data, things like that. Projection, for example, blaming your partner for your own feelings breeds misunderstanding. Denial stops you acknowledging real problems. Displacement, getting angry at your partner when you're really mad about work, creates unfairness and unresolved tension.
And here's where it gets really, really impactful, I think. The study analyzing relationship dynamics basically says ego conflicts are often the hardest arguments to solve.
The most intractable, yes. Because when your main goal is proving yourself right, defending your ego, rather than finding the truth or a fair solution, genuine resolution is almost impossible.
It gets personal, not factual.
Exactly. And the AI noted this consistent pattern. An ego that constantly needs defending actually makes a person, well, harder to love. It can erode genuine connection and empathy over time.
Wow. Okay, what about at the community level?
The AI's analysis of big social data sets really showed the power of cognitive biases there. In-group bias is huge. People align opinions with their group, feel positive towards members, distrust outsiders.
Makes it hard to talk across divides.
Incredibly hard.
Yeah.
The AI also confirms system justification theory. People tend to defend the status quo, the current system, even if objective data shows it's flawed or unfair. Why? Because it preserves their sense of order, safety, predictability. Challenging it feels threatening.
Even if the status quo isn't serving them well.
Even then. The study also touches on the link between aggression and defenses and this idea of social contagion. The AI could model how quickly these ego-driven attitudes and behaviors can spread through social networks, like an emotional virus.
And scaling up further, society, global politics.
Political polarization is just a textbook example the AI mapped extensively. Driven by that in-group bias, massively amplified by social media echo chambers.
Yeah.
The AI showed how this fuels rigid adherence to party lines, making productive cross-partisan dialogue incredibly difficult. almost impossible sometimes.
And just like individuals, nations can have egos too.
Absolutely. The study connects these individual dynamics straight to nations. Countries can engage in collective projection, blaming others for internal problems, or denial of uncomfortable facts that challenge national identity or policy. This severely blocks diplomacy and international cooperation. It's the collective ego running wild.
History must be full of
Oh,
examples.
completely. The AI analyzed several as case studies. Mussolini, for instance. His decision to invade Ethiopia wasn't primarily strategic. It was largely driven by a desire for revenge for past Italian defeat. Personal humiliation, national ego, overriding rational calculation. The Battle of Stalingrad, often cited, and the AI analysis supports this, as a brutal battle of egos between Hitler and Stalin. Personal prestige, refusing to back down, became more important than the strategic value of the city itself, leading to unimaginable suffering.
Wow.
The AI's historical models consistently show figures like Napoleon, Alexander the Great, even Nero. Their stories illustrate again and again how unchecked ego can lead to irrational, often catastrophic decisions.
Beyond just political or military leaders, what about other areas? Science, religion?
Yes, the AI highlighted scientific denialism. This is the systematic rejection of well-established scientific truths.
Like climate change.
Climate change is a prime example, but also evolution, the link between HIV and AIDS, the safety and efficacy of vaccines. The AI identified strong patterns of resistance, often linked to the fact that these scientific truths threaten deeply held personal beliefs, identities, or economic interests.
And the backfire effect plays a big role here.
A huge role. Trying to correct misconceptions with facts can paradoxically make people cling more tightly to the misinformation because their ego feels attacked.
And religion.
This study looked at religious fundamentalism using the Scopes monkey trial in 1925 as a key example.
The evolution trial.
Right. The AI analyzed the historical records, the public debate. It highlighted this intense conflict between strict, literal interpretations of religious texts and scientific evidence, particularly evolution. It wasn't just about the facts. It became a battleground for identity, community values, belief systems. Rejecting the science was a way of defending a perceived moral and cultural order.
So the core conflict plays out again.
Consistently. The AI's broad analysis across history, across domains, shows this universal pattern. When deeply held beliefs or identity get challenged by inconvenient truths, the ego individual or collective kicks into gear. It distorts, denies, or fights back.
Okay, we've seen how it works and where it happens, but let's talk about the real cost. What are the actual consequences of putting ego before truth so often?
Well, the irony, and the AI study showed this consistently through various metrics, is that while these defenses feel protective in the moment, chronic overuse is really bad for mental health.
How so?
It correlates strongly with increased anxiety, depression, other forms of psychopathology. The AI model showed how this ego-driven behavior leads to stunted personal growth. If you're constantly distorting reality, you're not learning from mistakes, you're not adapting, you're stuck.
Disconnected.
Exactly. And paradoxically, it actually lowers genuine self-worth over time. You waste so much emotional energy trying to maintain this fragile, often false self-image, convincing yourself and others, instead of investing in authentic self-improvement.
And we already mentioned the damage to relationships.
Profound damage, leading to those intractable arguments, eroding trust, making connection difficult, making individuals, as the study puts it, harder to love.
What about the societal costs when these biases add up?
The AI's macro-level analysis revealed really systemic problems. Ego-driven biases are a major fuel source for misinformation and disinformation, especially online.
How did the AI track that?
By analyzing how information spreads, the role of social validation like likes, the way algorithms create echo chambers, it consistently showed how these factors biased what people accept as true, often favoring emotionally resonant or group-affirming narratives over factual accuracy. This directly undermines informed citizenship.
It makes democracy harder.
Significantly. The AI also modeled how these biases lead to flawed decision-making in critical areas: business, government, public health. Risk assessments get systematically distorted because admitting potential problems might be ego-threatening.
Right.
And it fuels societal fragmentation, that in-group bias, system justification. They create divisions, undermine trust between groups, and make collective problem-solving incredibly difficult.
And it stifles progress on big issues.
Right.
It's like climate change again.
Absolutely. Pervasive denialism blocks action. Or even the sunk cost fallacy, refusing to change a failing policy because admitting the initial decision was wrong is too damaging to the ego, even when data clearly shows a change is needed. The AI could even project the long-term economic and social costs of these kinds of ego-driven societal roadblocks. Huge costs.
And there are ethical implications too, right?
Big ones. The AI explored this by modeling ethical frameworks. For example, ethical egoism, the idea that acting purely in your self-interest is the right thing to do, consistently proves self-defeating at the collective level.
Like the tragedy of the commons.
Yeah, exactly. Or the prisoner's dilemma. The AI models clearly show this tension. What seems best for the individual ego in the short term often undermines the well-being of the group and ultimately the individual too.
What about personal moral development?
The AI's analysis suggested ego-driven thinking can keep people stuck in earlier, more egocentric stages of moral reasoning, where morality is basically about what's in it for me, or avoiding punishment rather than principles of justice or care.
Okay. And hypocrisy.
Moral hypocrisy, yes. Wanting to appear moral, to project that impression, without actually adhering to those values when it's inconvenient or costly. The AI found patterns of this were surprisingly common. A disconnect between stated values and actual behavior, often papered over with rationalizations.
So the core ethical cost, the study argues,
is that when the ego feels threatened, facts get twisted, they get weaponized or disregarded. Accuracy and truth become the earliest casualties.
undermining the whole basis for fair judgment.
Exactly. The AI model showed how this corrupts the very foundation needed for sound moral judgment and the pursuit of justice. Because genuine ethics requires seeing reality clearly, understanding consequences accurately, and considering others' perspectives, not just protecting your own self-image.
Okay, this is a pretty fundamental challenge. It seems deeply ingrained. So what can we actually do about it? The study must offer some strategies.
It does. And importantly, it outlines a multifaceted strategy, highlighting areas where AI itself might even help us. It's not hopeless.
Good to hear. Where do we start?
Foundational is promoting critical thinking. Since intelligence alone isn't enough, we need to treat critical thinking as a deliberate skill to be cultivated.
Yeah.
The AI study, and even the AI itself, helped evaluate effective methods. Things like teaching people to ask genuinely probing, thought-provoking questions, actively seeking out and considering different perspectives, not just ones that confirm your views, using structured techniques, like maybe red team analysis in organizations, to deliberately challenge assumptions and avoid groupthink or overconfidence.
So actively looking for flaws in your own thinking.
Yes. And fostering reflection, metacognition, thinking about your own thinking processes, plus developing strong information literacy so you can rigorously evaluate sources and evidence.
It's about changing the default question in your head, isn't it? From, can I believe this?
Yeah.
Which is easy if it fits your views, to, must I believe this? Based on the evidence.
That's a perfect way to put it. That shift, the AI found, dramatically improves truth-seeking. Alongside critical thinking, there's intellectual humility.
Humility, meaning what, exactly?
The AI study demonstrated its importance. It means genuinely respecting other viewpoints, even when you disagree. It means having low intellectual overconfidence, recognizing the limits of your own knowledge. Crucially, it means separating your identity from your ideas.
Ah, so an attack on your idea isn't an attack on you.
Precisely. That makes you much more willing to revise your viewpoints when the evidence warrants it, being comfortable saying, I don't know, or I was wrong.
How do you foster that? It sounds hard.
The AI helped identify practical strategies. Parents and leaders modeling it, admitting mistakes, asking authentic questions they don't know the answer to, doing reflection exercises, maybe keeping a humble list of things you realize you were wrong about, using educational activities, even simple things like ambiguous pictures or optical illusions to show people firsthand how easily perceptions of reality can differ.
So it creates that psychological space, that safety, to actually consider evidence that goes against your beliefs.
Exactly. Without that space, the ego defenses just slam the door shut. The AI showed this link very clearly. Then there's emotional regulation.
Managing your feelings.
Critically important. The AI study consistently showed effective emotional management is a prerequisite for rational decision-making. When strong emotions hijack you, fear, anger, shame, the ego defaults to those primitive, reality-distorting defenses.
So you need to stay calm to think clearly.
Basically, yes. Mindfulness practices, the AI found, can be very helpful here. They help you tolerate emotional discomfort without reacting defensively, build inner strength, and actually reduce that constant egocentric focus.
And developing better coping mechanisms.
Yes, consciously cultivating those mature defenses we talked about, sublimation, channeling energy constructively, Humor, finding perspective, altruism, focusing on others. These redirect difficult emotions in healthy ways, leading to much better long-term outcomes than denial or projection.
So what the AI study really drives home is that emotional intelligence isn't just a soft skill. It's fundamental to being rational and finding truth.
Absolutely foundational. Now, when ego does flare up and cause conflict, the study highlights approaches like restorative justice.
How does that help?
These approaches, which the AI could analyze in detail for effectiveness, deliberately shift the focus away from blame and self-justification, the ego's favorite playground, towards understanding, accountability, and empathy.
So less who's right and more what happened and how do we fix it?
Exactly. Restorative justice specifically focuses on understanding the harm caused and repairing the relationships involved. For everyday interpersonal conflicts, the AI's analysis of successful resolutions pointed to simple but powerful techniques, using "I feel" statements instead of "blaming you" statements.
Less accusatory.
Much less. Sticking to one issue at a time, not dredging up the past. Really practicing active listening, trying to understand the other person's perspective, even if you don't agree. And crucially, staying open-minded.
These things directly challenge the ego's defensive stance, don't they?
They do. They create a safer space for vulnerability and mutual understanding. The AI confirmed this approach dramatically increases the chances of genuine resolution, rather than just temporary ceasefires or lingering resentment.
What about bigger picture? Leaders, society.
The AI study looked at that too. It found that leaders who actively prioritize truth are essential. Key qualities that emerged were integrity, obviously, but also humility.
Humility in leaders.
Yes. Leaders who view errors not as personal failures to be hidden, but as opportunities for learning and growth. Who foster a just culture where people feel safe admitting mistakes without fear of blame. Leaders who practice self-reflection and have a purpose beyond just their own advancement or ego.
Okay. And societal structures.
The AI concluded that our society's education systems, institutions, political systems should be intentionally designed to foster intellectual humility and critical thinking, building in mechanisms for openness to critique, clear rules and processes that guard against motivated reasoning and decision-making.
It sounds like a society's ability to pick truth-oriented leaders kind of reflects how well that society as a whole is managing its own collective ego.
That's a very insightful way to put it. The AI even suggested potential markers or methods for identifying leaders who might be more predisposed towards truth-seeking over ego defense.
And finally, it all starts early, right? With kids.
Absolutely. The foundation for a more truth-oriented society, the AI study strongly emphasizes, begins in childhood. Parenting strategies are pivotal.
Like what?
Celebrating intellectual humility, praising kids when they admit they don't know something or change their mind based on evidence. Modeling humility yourself, creating opportunities for practice, maybe family rituals where everyone shares something they learned or changed their mind about that week, providing clear guidance and feedback focused on learning, not on judgment or shame.
So this kind of proactive parenting helps kids build more mature, more flexible egos right from the start.
That's the idea. The AI study showed this approach makes them less likely to rely on those rigid maladaptive defenses later in life, sets them up for better reality testing and growth.
Okay, connecting all this to the bigger picture, the study isn't just diagnosing the problem and offering human solutions. It suggests AI itself has this really transformative potential here.
Yes, the AI used in the study demonstrated its own capability. It can process these immense data sets, communication, social media trends, economic behavior, news analysis, to spot those subtle hidden patterns of ego defense and bias that humans just miss.
Seeing the invisible currents.
Exactly. It can develop predictive models, forecast when individuals or groups might be likely to prioritize ego over truth, anticipating shifts in political discourse, market sentiment, maybe even conflict escalation.
Wow. And the brain mapping.
It can even analyze complex neuroimaging data to map the specific brain circuits involved in ego defense, self-deception, bias, giving us a level of biological understanding we've never had.
So the AI acts as a kind of metacognitive mirror, holding up an objective reflection of our collective behaviors.
That's a fantastic term for it. It provides a scale and objectivity of analysis of our own ego-driven tendencies that humans, biased as we are, simply cannot achieve alone. It's a potential pathway to unprecedented collective self-awareness.
But it's not just about analysis, right? The study suggests AI could actively help change these patterns.
Yes, moving beyond diagnosis to intervention. The study envisions AI being used to develop personalized debiasing tools. Imagine getting real-time feedback on your communication, or tailored educational modules designed to address your specific biases detected by the AI.
Like a personal cognitive coach.
Exactly.
Mm.
Or AI could help design and deliver much more effective critical thinking and media literacy curricula in schools, adapting the content dynamically to maximize impact for different learning styles.
And in high-stakes situations.
In complex decision-making, government, business, medicine, AI could serve as an objective partner, providing unbiased information summaries, flagging potential groupthink, generating alternative perspectives to force consideration beyond the default ego-driven path, helping us make clearer, more rational choices when it really matters.
Of course, the study must stress the ethical side of this.
Absolutely critical. Ethical development and deployment are paramount. The goal has to be augmenting human rationality and well-being, not manipulating or undermining it.
Yeah.
We need safeguards to ensure AI helps us see truth more clearly, not create new, more sophisticated ways to avoid it.
So what's the ultimate vision here? If we manage to use these strategies, maybe with AI's help, to genuinely prioritize truth over ego more often, what would that future look like?
The best-case scenario, based on the AI's projections and the study's framework, is pretty profound. At the individual level, greater self-awareness, better emotional regulation, stronger critical thinking skills, more flexible egos, leading to more authentic relationships and genuine personal flourishing.
And society.
Societal harmony, communities and nations that genuinely value objective truth, conflicts resolved more often through empathy, understanding, accountability, restorative approaches becoming more common. Leaders elected based on integrity and humility, not just charisma or ego. Sustainable coexistence. Finally, acknowledging and addressing huge global challenges, like climate change, head-on, without the paralysis of denialism. Cultivating a more balanced, responsible relationship with the planet and each other.
In that kind of world, the study suggests the average human would genuinely thrive. Their well-being lifted by this collective focus on truth, a real symbiosis between individual growth and societal health. It's a powerful vision.
It really is.
So let's recap. We've really unpacked this profound, complex, often unconscious human tendency to defend our ego, even at the expense of truth. And we've seen the extensive costs, personal, relational, societal, global.
But, and this is crucial, the AI-driven study also powerfully reaffirms our capacity for change. It's not deterministic. By actively cultivating critical thinking, intellectual humility, emotional regulation, and using constructive approaches like restorative justice, we can mitigate these negative patterns. We can move towards a more reality-aligned way of being.
And the potential role of AI here is just fascinating. Strategically integrating it as that objective metacognitive mirror and as a tool to actively augment our own rationality could be truly transformative in helping us overcome some of our deepest, most ingrained biases.
This whole journey towards a more truth-oriented future, it really feels like a collective imperative for us now. It starts small, nurturing truth-seeking and humility in our kids, but it extends all the way up to demanding integrity and humility in our leaders. It's about consciously choosing to build societies based on trust and a shared commitment to facing reality together.
Which leaves us with a really provocative final thought, doesn't it? As we stand right now, poised to use these incredibly powerful AI tools to reflect our own deepest biases back at us, we have to ask ourselves, are we going to let this metacognitive mirror truly transform our relationship with truth? Will we finally see ourselves clearly and choose a change? Or will our inherent ego just find new, maybe even more sophisticated ways to twist the reflection to avoid seeing what's really there, even when faced with the objective truth about ourselves?
This is DigitView.